So we'll start, and red lights flashing. All right. All right. Welcome to the Starry Night Inside podcast. We have Hannah here today. This podcast is all about working as a healer, people with modalities like mediumship, tarot card readers, psychics, and healers that want to share their insight on just what their experiences are like. And we have Hannah here. Hannah, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself today?
Yeah. First of all, Carla, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. As you already said, my name is Hannah. Before I go into like all the titles and stuff, I think it would be helpful for me to explain like the type of people that I help and kind of the things that I do.
Sure.
Right? Great. Okay, so I feel like everybody kind of gets to this point in their lives, but you kind of just take a step back from your life and you look at it and you're like, this ain't working.
Yep.
This ain't it.
Yes.
Right. And then you realize like, oh my God, life shouldn't be this hard. Right. I actually want to enjoy my life. I want to love my life, not just tolerate it. I feel like there's too many people just like tolerating their life, right? And not actually enjoying it. It's really weird.
Yes.
And so I feel like there's people, I work with people in a big spectrum, right? And so there's part of them on one side are the business professionals who on the outside, they have everything, right? Career success or at least stability, right? They have the cars, they have house and stuff like that. And they feel like, yeah, like my life is good on the outside. But then on the inside, they're like, something's missing. It's not there. It's not giving, yes. Right? And then there's people on the other side who are like, they don't have anything together. They don't have their inside and their outside. Nothing is working. And they're just trying to figure out like, how do I manifest a better life, right? How do I get there? And it's like the how part, right? And at some point in time, they get on a spiritual journey or a healing journey, right? And they realize even with that journey, it's hard. It's dark. It could be long, right? And that's where I come in, right? As a hypnotherapist and an energy worker, I work to give you like the fast pass to healing, really, honestly, right? Because I found like the keys are really to work directly with the subconscious mind and to work with your energy channels. And that will get you where you want to go. And it won't take so long to get there, right? And so that's where I really found myself really combining the two, because it's kind of two separate worlds. But I really love to combine the spiritual. I kind of call it like practical, where practical and magic meet together.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot. And that's really where the magic happens, where people get that healing.
Yeah, definitely. And how would you describe that with the energy centers versus, what was the other phrase that you said? Energy centers and then the
hypnotherapy.
Yes.
So yes. I do hypnotherapy and I work with I'm a Reiki practitioner.
Yes.
But it's so hard to just put it in a box of just Reiki, right?
Yes.
Like yes, all of your chakras will be aligned and open and you'll feel amazing, right? But then I also give you like a little reading because with Reiki, you're channeling the energy, you channel the Reiki energy. So with that open conduit, I'm channeling everything.
Yeah.
So each chakra, depending on what's happening in their body, their energy center, it may be out of balance, right?
Yep.
And so, but the chakra center didn't just get out of balance. It just didn't fall itself out of balance, right? It's in your mind. Something you're doing, something you're like, your habits, your mental capacity, something, your limiting beliefs are pulling them out, right?
Yes.
And so when I do a session on someone, I'm able to read each chakra and figure out what in their life is pulling it out of balance. And then, and I feel like after the session, I give that information to them and they're like, girl, thank you. Like, not only am I reading their life, but it really helps them, this is what took you out of balance. But if you pay attention to these things and you notice them, then you can keep yourself in balance longer, right?
Yes.
And then with that hypno part, really getting to the subconscious mind, we can eliminate those limiting beliefs. We can eliminate and reprogram yourself. So
yeah. And I'm really excited to talk about, inner child work with you today, because I think not enough people know what it is. And I've done that work myself. Like I've been going to somebody since 2018 and done a version of timeline therapy. It's not exactly timeline therapy. It's like a variation of it. And I'm going to get certified in that too. And, I watched your videos and I was like, oh, you're doing it too. It's so cool. And I think not enough people really understand that it's not about managing symptoms, which I feel like so much of a lot of help is today, is just managing the symptoms to keep kind of skating through life instead of like going to the core root where it began, and really going through those elements. And I wanted to hear about some of your experiences of just, as a healer, not just like you leading someone through hypnotherapy where you go into their, help them unlock memories from their inner child, but like, what you experience as well as a medium and psychic. Do you also see what they're seeing and feel what they're feeling? Because I remember once, I'm working with someone who also has those gifts, and I was stuck in a memory from childhood, and she's like, hold on a minute, let me get in there with you. And she actually went into my memory and was describing the room in my house growing up, like the layout of the furniture and like the colors and what it looked like. And I was so like, cool. I was like, oh my God, get out of my head and like my soul, like what is happening? But she helped me actually unlock it by like going in with me. And I didn't even know you could do that at that point.
Carla, I'd never heard of that.
You haven't?
Cool. Okay. That's something. That is so, you know what? Now I'm thinking, I'm gonna talk to my guides and be like, I heard about something and I want to see. No, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Actually. Now I really am going to look into that.
You should add that.
Girl. But yeah, like you said, a lot of people just deal with the symptoms, right? They just have. And then that's because that's all they notice, right? Yes. All they notice is their procrastination, their burnout, their headaches, migraines, because it can manifest as physical illnesses as well, right? Their anxiety, that's all they manage. And I feel like Western society kind of teaches you to treat the symptoms, right? Because you have a headache, you take Tylenol, or you take ibuprofen or something like that. But that's not curing you. Like even like a cold medicine, like I'm taking a cold medicine, but that doesn't actually help heal your body, right?
Right.
You have to get to the root. You actually have to get in there. And I think a lot of people are also afraid to get in there. When I start talking about it, they're like, I don't want to see anything. Yes. I don't want to deal with anything. And that's why people like, just do the Reiki, just clear it. And I'm just like, okay, we can do that. Yeah. But like, you really do need to get to the root. Like,
I always see that too. When people come in for Reiki, I'm like, I see where they're stuck and I'm like, it's coming from something way deeper than just clearing out your energy. Like there's a belief system that came from, this point in your life, like you got to work on it. And some people are like, I don't want to, and some people are like too afraid to, like you said. Like I think people are intimidated by the idea of like going back to where things even developed in the first place, but they don't understand. Like I think that's where the answers are, is like in your fear. Fear is the answer. It's kind of like where the answers lie,
And it shows you where to look. Definitely shows you where to look. So you said so many things I want to comment on, but like even just like the way that the body manifests illnesses, and you see these things, right? Because it goes from the body is the last thing that manifests. Like at first it's your spirit, then consciousness, then your mind, and then it's your body and all the other etheric bodies. All the things, right? Yeah. So just trying to deal with your energy. Your energy is fine. It's like your mental is the one that's throwing it off. But once you get into those, once you accept that, right? Once people are like, okay, I have to do the work. I have to go down there and see it. Where I know where to look is where the emotion is, like where they have that, like it starts to trigger. And I'm just asking simple questions, and then they just start crying. Yeah. Right? And that's what, of course, Reiki helps with that. Like, because I Reiki the room before, like I sit in meditation and I'm working on them beforehand. So when they come in, their heart is open and they're really ready to express. And then, wherever I see that emotion or like it's starting to pull up in their body, that's where we got to go. Yeah. Right. And the mind does something really, really cool. It's like association. So once you're talking about how it's, your boss got on your nerves so bad today and it just makes you so angry, and you're talking about all this anger and you're like, and then you realize he didn't really do anything that bad. It just triggered you. Right. And you're like, and I'm like, okay, great. And then when I take you down and make you feel all that again, we're going to go, your mind does this association thing where it could take you right back to what's the first time you ever felt that way? And it brings you straight to that memory. Yeah. And then we open up that memory. And when you're in hypnosis, that's why I love coupling with hypnosis with Reiki as well. Because when you're down there, your conscious mind is out the way. We're like, you go sit over there, right? Take a seat because you're too analytical, you too judgment. Like, let's just work with the subconscious, right? The one who is really running the show, honestly, because 90% of your mind is subconscious, right? But once you go down, it's like a veil lifts open and they have full visual, and they can, like, they may be not really reliving it, but they are in that memory, and it's, you have to release it all. That's what's happening. Mm-hmm. People have not been able to process what's happened in their childhood because you were a child.
Yeah.
Right? Like, your mind doesn't fully develop to like what? Like
25 or something,
yeah,
I think, right?
Yeah. 25. So something happened. Most people's programming happened under 10, right? Yep. Your mind, that's where you get your programming from. And then so a 7-year-old is making these decisions. They had these hard life choices that they had to make, and these big emotions they had no idea how to process. So they didn't.
Yep.
They didn't process them. Or they made 7-year-old decisions about how to do it, right?
Yep.
And so, but that programming is still running in your mind. You've been acting the same way, and you've been handling the same situations, how you always handle them since you were 7 years old.
Yep. That's like how we walk around. It's like everyone's in a child in an adult body. It's like that. That's kind of where it comes from, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's when you're like, oh, this person's so immature. I bet they are.
Yeah.
I bet they are. Yeah. They have no other choice. Right? Because you have to go back to that memory. And the funny thing is, some people don't even remember some of these memories, right? They're completely repressed.
Yes.
Right? Or they didn't realize that moment is what affected them and made them have these choices.
Yes.
To do certain things, right? And most people are actually surprised. They're like, wow, I didn't even realize that happened to me. I didn't realize that affected me this much. And it's it's crazy. You know what? Here's a great analogy, I feel like, for the way this happens. When you make a decision, it's like, you know, like the settings, when you get a new phone, right?
Yeah.
You get a new phone, you set it all up, and you decide how you want the color to be, you know, what settings, pop-up blocks, all those type of things. And those are set, right? Yeah. And then, you know, you've had the phone for 2-3 years, and you're like, wow, my phone is really dark. I can't see anything, right? And you're like, well, you have to change your settings. And it's like, well, I don't even remember putting this way. Like, yeah, you did it when you first got the phone. You don't remember these settings you made, but the setting is not going to change. The decision you made is not going to change until you purposely go in and change the settings. Like, you have to change it to light mode. You have to turn off the pop-up blocker. Like, you have to consciously decide to make a new decision.
I always think of it as like factory reset. Like, you're gonna do a factory reset all the settings and put it back to where it was initially restored, like how it was originally built.
Exactly.
Without all the accidentally downloading the wrong apps, and they put like spyware on your phone.
Remember
LimeWire? Yeah, it's like LimeWire. That's the way of putting it. Like, bad childhood stories and things you pick up are like LimeWire.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like, you're like, I really wanted that song.
Yeah.
And what did you do for that song?
Yeah.
You have all these vibes.
What did you have to sacrifice for that song? That's exactly that's a great way of putting it.
That's exactly what happened. Wow. No, and so that's what you have to consciously go back there. It's not gonna I hate the phrase that time heals all. Like, because it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Time doesn't heal anything, and that's why people are in their 60s and their 70s still with anxiety, still holding on to their child. Could you imagine? There are people out there, 70-year-olds. I know, because like I have family members like this who still have daddy issues, who still have mom issues. And it's just like, when do you get over it? And it's like, you don't get over it until you decide to work on it. It doesn't just go away.
No.
Like, you have to be intentional.
Yes, 100%. And so when someone comes to you, because you have all these gifts, how do you use your gifts? Like, what is it like for you to experience it as a medium and psychic and all the gifts that you have? You know, versus, because I know a lot of mental health professionals, they use it from a very logical and textbook side. And I think us healers who have different modalities and different gifts, we just have a different experience with it. So what is that like for you?
Oh yeah, no. And I feel like that's kind of the interesting thing as well, right? Because you're right. I love the textbook stuff all day. But when it marries, like I said, the practical meets magic to me, it is magical. And so, for example, of course, like channeling, right? I think it's really crazy the information that I get when I'm channeling, when I'm reading someone, when I'm doing the Reiki or in meditation before they come in. And I'm just like, I know what your issue is.
Yeah.
I know. The source told me.
Yeah.
And then so I write it down already. And then when they're telling me, I'm like, whoop, I got that right. I got that right.
Yeah.
And then after I read their, well, I didn't get it right? Source told me, but it helps me understand what I need to work on, right? How I need to help them more, what exactly to say to them, right? And then so, yeah, when I'm doing their chakras as well, like again, reading that, the things that the things that just hit me, just come to me. I'm just like, I just have to be open because there's no way that I would know that. And it makes people have that magical experience when it's like, how do you know me? You just met me. How do you know all these things about me? Right? Like this woman, I remember she was very emotional. And poor baby, her heart chakra was just like in pieces. Right. And when I was working through that energy, I was like, well, she wants a baby. She wants a family. And she really wants to take care of a new baby. And like, I just saw this baby and felt this extra maternal like love. And it's just like, oh, that's what she wants. She's craving that. And then like, I think it's just so weird because I always say like, correct me if I'm wrong. Please take everything with a grain of salt. Like, just tell people like, I'm not a super psychic. Like, so people don't get like too weirded out. But I'm just like, yeah, do you want a baby? Like, are you planning on having a baby? And she's like, oh, I just told my doctor that 2 days ago. And I'm just
wow.
Yeah. I'm like, let's talk about that. And it's just like, her telling me all these things, just like, well, how did you know? And it's just like, source told me. That's what happened. Or having those type of conversations are, oh my goodness. There's some people who, I don't want to pick favorites. I don't want to say who my favorite type of client are, but the people who are starting their spiritual journeys, their readings feel completely different. Like so much power, like crown chakra completely like I'm ready. It's so much energy. And it's just like, whoa, like you are moving, you like, and to explain that back to people and they're like, and like you said, there are in hypnosis too. So I combine Reiki and hypnosis. So they get the same at the same session. Sometimes there are entities attached to people. Sometimes there are things worse than entities attached to people, right? But there's all other times there are angels attached to people, right? And this one guy literally had like an angel and a demon on his shoulders. Like, wow. And I was like talking to both of them. Yeah. And I'm like, and I was explaining to him like what was happening. He was like, he's like, I hear them. I hear them. Like, I'm like saying like, oh yeah, like one's telling you this, one's telling you that. And I'm like, you literally have a split. You can choose which one, but they're both not going to be with you for too long. You have to choose. Oh, okay. And he's like, that is so crazy because that's exactly what I feel. And he's like, and I hear them and I'm having these, like when I'm in meditation and stuff like that, I'm feeling this pull and I'm just like, yeah, which I can't tell you which one to choose. I like literally like feel it in your body. Which one do you want? Yeah. Right. And again, he was he was a very interesting guy, but again, that's kind of like, I think that's kind of like the little trippy things that come up that more normal therapists will not see in their practices, right? Yeah. Or even know how to handle. I cannot imagine a regular talk therapist like feeling like there's something with us in this room. Yeah. Like something else is here. That would be really weird. But in hypnosis, they talk through the person. If you have an entity attached to you, like, and I say entity like a disembodied spirit, basically used to be here and is no longer here, they can attach to people based off their energy. I'm sure you know that. Like when you are vibrating low, you attract entities and spirits that are on that vibration. The same thing when you're vibrating really, really high. Yep. You attract energies and spirits that are on that vibration. Yes. And so they will attach to you and they will use your physical body because they want to experience something. Mm-hmm. So when they're in deep hypnosis, I can talk to them directly and they speak through the person and will tell them like what's happening in their lives, what they're causing. They cause people to act out even more. Like if you have anger issues, the spirit that attaches to you are going to, it's going to amplify your anger issues.
I feel like they amplify whatever you have going on.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And they don't want to let go. And
no, they don't.
There was this one lady that like, it said it was with her since she was a child. It was like, I've been with her since she was 13.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, are you ready to leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that type of thing. It's just, I feel like people are really surprised when that comes up too, because I think a lot of people they think they pick a healer to work with, right? And then but when it really happens, when they really get this miracle or supernatural experience, they're just like, was that real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. that happened. It was real. And even for me, every time it happens for me, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. When I've released them off of me, I've seen like a explosion of smoke in my bath or something. Like I get these crazy things, but it's weird because it's like, I think you probably see this with people too. It's like when you're in a low place, they come in and they play off of what you're already dealing with and try to show you like an answer. And it's like, you just have to, if you can either be aware or be like, well, does this really feel like me? Because as soon as you say no and you like, I don't want this, it goes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that easy. And I think there's a lot of misconception. There's so much fear around it. You think you have no choice, but I feel like that's part of how they get to stay that long in the first place.
Mm-hmm. When I first realized that there were like, you have to learn how to, like you said, identify your voice, right?
Yes.
In your head, right? And I remember I told my little sister, this is kind of how you break generational curses. You teach the ones after you. So I was teaching my little sister because she was also dealing with anxious feelings and depression and stuff like that. And I told her like how to identify her voice. And I was like, when you are spiraling and you feel this, I was like, at times you may hear a second voice and you find yourself repeating that voice. Like you'll find like, you're like, I hate life. And you hear it say, I hate life. And then you'll repeat, I hate life. Like, and you're like, this is so horrible. Like, and you'll just start finding yourself repeat. Like, that's not your voice. That wasn't your, why did you repeat it? Because it wasn't yours to begin with. Right.
Yep.
And you have to realize, even when you, even when I meditate sometimes, right? Because I try to meditate when I'm low, when I'm feeling low and high. But when I'm in those low spaces, I'll be meditating and then I'm just like, okay, just show me the answer. Show me something. And I had this one spirit come in and say something. I said, oh, who are you? What is that? No, ma'am. I'm so sorry. It was like, what did it say? It was like, I want to offer you a crown. I said, goodbye.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Goodbye. I'm not here for that. That sounds like a trap. That sounds like a trap.
Yeah.
And so like being able to, like you said, identify those voices and identify what God's voice sounds like, what Spirit's voice sounds like, what your voice sounds like. And there are you also have, like you said, let's talk about the inner child. There are multiple parts of you. Every time you had a traumatic experience, a part of your subconscious split, right? And every time sometimes it compounds. You have the same experience over and over. So I took my own medicine, right? I've done a lot of this work over the past couple of years. And so I remember when I seen it, there were like thousands of little Hannahs, like thousands of them. And I started crying and I was like, wow, look at what I've been through, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to give them all hugs and some of them were mad at me.
Oh.
Some of them were mad at me. And one of them tried to stab me. I was like, oh, little gremlin, okay. But like, again, like they need work, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times you don't, again, like I said, there's thousands. You don't have to work with each one, right? I would say work with the youngest ones because the youngest ones are, when I say like youngest, the oldest ones, the ones that happen early in your life because they birthed or split the other ones off, right?
Yes.
And if it's the same issue, it'll knock all of that out. If you just
go to the root.
Go to the root.
Yep.
Right? It's the emotional release that is, the emotion is connected to the energy. That's what's staying in the body. Mm-hmm. That's what's keeping the limiting belief there. That's what's keeping everything trapped. If you do not have a good yell, scream, cry, if you are not allowing yourself to release all of that, and if people are shaking, people are screaming, people are throwing things, you have to let it out. Whoever did anything, you have to tell them. You have to be able to express to that person, well, in your mind, right?
Yeah.
How you're feeling. And if you don't get a chance to do that, if it's not actually processed, because some people think that they're like, I already forgave that person a long time ago. It's like, no, your adult conscious mind forgave them. 5-year-old you is still holding a grudge. And I can tell you, because you're angry right now talking about it. That is not what forgiveness looks like.
When you're neutral, that's when you've really fully forgiven the situation.
And you gain wisdom.
Yes.
You gain wisdom.
Oh my God,
it.
so much. I don't know if it's similar with the work you do, but whenever I've done this version of timeline therapy, as I'm healing the root of something that I'm trying to work through, I get so much wisdom about life. Like, I feel like I've learned all about humanity just by healing, something that happened when I was 5 that I forgot about. Like, you could spill a glass of milk on a rug, and you pick up so much stuff. And out of that comes so much wisdom. It's like incredible.
Yeah.
Like the littlest moments too. Sometimes they're not even big moments. Sometimes they're as simple as spilling something on a rug.
Yeah. But your younger self took that as like something like, oh no, for some. And you know what? It's funny because we're talking about your inner child, right? But that inner child is stuck in a loop. And again, because it's in your mind, it's all of these parts are just parts of your own mind, right? So you also have an inner parent or an inner critic, right? And that's the inner parent is suppressing the inner child, and they just keep playing out this little vicious loop, and it's running on a track. I don't think people realize that the inner parent is also a part of them, and it's also an inner child masquerading as a parent, but it is just another child, honestly, right? Because the number one fear when you're a child is abandonment, right? You're 5. Your primal drive is, I need these parents to protect me. Yes. I cannot be abandoned. Right. I need to do whatever they want me to do, so they keep loving me, so they keep feeding me, housing me. Like, your primal instincts knows that. Yes. And that's why people will literally do with children. You'll see children with parents that are narcissists that would just like, I need to care for my mom's, issues and stuff like that. Or like they are in abusive, they have abusive parents, and then they end up in abusive relationships because they learned as a child that, I got to keep the peace. I got to be a people pleaser. Like, you'll see those things, right? Yeah. And then the part of their psychic that turns into the inner parent is the one enforcing that behavior. It's like, remember what happened when you were a child? You have to keep doing that or they won't love you anymore. Yeah. And so it's forcing them to stay in that loop. And so it is just a part of your subconscious mind that's acting like the parent. But when you work through that part of your mind, and that part's thinking is protecting you. Yeah. It's trying to protect you. It's like, no, we're doing this to keep you safe, right? Yes. And then when you tell that part, because there's another thing that I do called parts therapy, and you really just like sit all the parts down on the table and be like, listen, we got to be on the same page, okay? Because you're making it hard for me. It's like one part of my life, one part of myself wants to be a millionaire. Another one wants to chill and watch anime all day. And another one just wants to frolic in the grass. Like, okay, can we get all on the same page, please? And so, you sit the inner critic down and you're like, you're being really mean. You're yelling at me. You're telling me I'm not good enough. You're telling me I'm ugly. Like that when you're like, oh no, that's me. I'm really, people are like, I'm so mean. I'm so stupid. Don't stop. Like, that's a part of you saying that, right? And it's like, well, it doesn't know. Like, when you start questioning it, it starts getting confused. It's like, well, don't leave. Don't kick me out, please. I want to stay. And you're like, you can stay. You just need a new job. Yeah. And it can't be to be a bitch. Like, you can't do that, right? And then you give them a new job and they become your biggest cheerleader. They become your motivator. They become your coach. That part of your mind becomes your coach and starts and gets that, it grows up. And it's like, oh yeah, I could be more mature. Give me the roles and I can do it. And your subconscious can do it. It can evolve. It can grow. And you grow them up. You don't want 1,000 little people. Yeah. You want adults in there, right? Yes. And so, you grow them up, you get them new jobs, and you're like, wow, all of my voices are playing nice together. All of my sides are actually on the same page. And that's really, really beautiful when that happens. That was a tangent, but I like this type of work. It's like, it's everything, Carla. Yes. It's everything.
Is there any wisdom from some of these that are consistent that I don't know if you have any that you want to share now that you're mentioning like some of the wisdom?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Kind of like stuff you've seen across the board. Like everyone kind of goes through this part of realization about themselves and humanity or something.
There is this one really powerful one. And this young lady had a really rough childhood, and she was talking to the part of herself that was her mom, right? And she's telling her mom how much she hated her and how she made her life horrible. And she's like having that full authentic release, which is great, right? So she felt better. She was crying and stuff like that. But then the mom gets to speak back. And I can tell that this was like channeled, like, right? And it's like, the mom was like, I am so sorry that you hate me, right? Because in a past life, we were friends. And we agreed to come down here together. And I agreed to be your mom. And you agreed to be my daughter. And we said that this was going to happen.
Wow.
And I just hope that I pray that you don't hate me forever, for eternity,
Whoa.
right? Like in the next life. And I start crying.
I'm getting chills right now.
Yeah. And I was
my
like,
God.
You have to remember, like, if you believe in that, and I do, if you believe in that, it's just like, we came down here to learn these lessons, but we are basically reading a script. We're like, this is the lessons that we said we were going to learn, which means we had to have the people in our lives that would enforce these lessons. You have to have that.
Yes.
You can't learn the lessons without the bad people making you learn the lessons.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?